Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Metro Hall, and welcome for what was planned to be our first press conference of 2025, but Mother Nature, of course, had other plans, and so it's good to be with you again, but this is our first weekly press briefing of 2025 that will continue every week throughout this year and into the future. And 1 year in to 1 week into 2025, we've already had a historic year. Historic snowfall, that is. And so let's start there. Last night, as you all can feel by walking outside your front door, temperatures dropped. And so even though we're working very hard and have gotten a lot of the snow off of the streets and sidewalks and otherwhere, everyone still needs to maintain extreme caution when they leave their home, because the slush can turn back into ice, and we still have roads that are not yet where we want them to be. Metro Snow Team is continuing to work round the clock, 24 hours a day, to continue to improve the condition of roads, even beyond those on our regular snow routes. And I'm incredibly grateful to all the hardworking public servants we have as part of the Louisville Metro Government Snow Team that are working round the clock to help get Louisville moving again. Thank you all so much. We continue to work on the 110 snow routes that we have. I do want to note we have had a couple of challenges. We are well aware that in the southeastern corner of our city, along Route Road and Hopewell Road, Old Taylorsville Road, South Poplick Road, Billtown Road, Seatonville Road, parts of these roads, I should say, Old Heady Road, we are aware that, at least as of late yesterday, those roads were not where we wanted them to be, not where we expected them to be, due to several reasons, but we have been working through the night. And we have very experienced drivers on all of those routes right now that are working to improve the condition of those roads in the southeastern part of our county, and will continue to do that as long as it takes. I'll be headed out there in a few hours to check on the conditions of those roads myself, to make sure that we're continuing to make the progress that we expect to see around the entire city. If there are roads that are on the snow route that are not yet where you think they should be, please call 311. Let us know. We have folks that are driving around the entire city that are reporting that back internally, but having eyes and ears from the public is also helpful. So please call 311 and let us know if there are roads that still need some attention. And also, as I mentioned, continue to be cautious, because even though a road looks plowed, with the freezing conditions that we have, there still might be some danger. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, normally this is where the city would stop. We would say we have done our job. But for as long as I'm mayor, that's not going to be the case. We're going to keep going when we know the city still has needs, and we know residents still have roads that need to be plowed and improved. So yesterday I announced that I directed the snow team that we're going to keep working, and we're going to add more streets to the routes that we have. We're going to try to help more neighborhoods, more families. We know the JCPS is working to get kids back in school, and we want to help them. We want to help U of L reopen. We want to help TARC and TARC 3 have access to all of their routes. We want to help get the city back moving like we all want it to be moving. And so that's what we're going to continue to do, and that's what we're doing right now. We have crews that are out there that are working on additional routes from what I announced yesterday. They will keep working 24 hours a day. Also want to mention that we do know that there's the potential of additional snowfall coming on Friday. Right now, the National Weather Service has forecasted somewhere between 1 and 3 inches of snow on Friday. This afternoon, we expect an updated forecast that they have, so we'll continue to stay abreast of what that is and what that means for our continued activities with the snow team. So remember to stay warm and stay safe. And as you leave your home, please continue to use caution. And if you do leave your home and your kids are at home and you're looking for things to do, there's a lot of activities. Everything from the Louisville Zoo to the Free Public Library to community centers, the Speed Museum, the Slugger Museum, Kentucky Science Center, and more. You can go online on our LouisvilleKY.gov homepage, click under news, and you can see a whole list of activities if you're looking for something to do with your family while your children are still out of school today. We're waiting for JCPS to make an announcement about Thursday. That is JCPS's decision, and so we'll continue to monitor that in partnership with them, just as everyone else is waiting for that. So we're going to continue to stay focused on the winter weather that we have, to continue to improve the roads and all the other conditions that we're dealing with as a result of this historic storm. But we're also looking forward. We're also looking forward to the remainder of 2025 and beyond. We're also focused on our goal of making Louisville a safer, stronger, and healthier city in every which way. And since this is our first weekly briefing of 2025, I wanted to start by laying out what some of my biggest goals are for the year ahead. If you look back to 2024, it was an incredible year. We broke so many records. We made history. We had successful events where people came from around the country and around the world to visit us here in Louisville. We created more jobs than Louisville Metro has ever seen in the last 7 years, and so much more. We have great momentum throughout our entire city, in every corner of our city, and we want to continue that momentum, to build on that momentum as we move through 2025 as well. So here are 5 of my top goals for 2025. First, we're going to continue improving public safety. That is going to continue to be our top focus every day. That includes hiring more police officers, prosecuting more of our violent criminals, implementing the reforms that we've been talking about and working on so diligently over the past 2 years. Everything that we can do to reduce crime in our city, we are going to continue to do. Later today and next week, we're going to continue to have announcements about more things that Louisville Metro government is doing on top of what we are already doing to continue to reduce crime in our city. Second, we're going to continue to focus on building more housing and having less homelessness. That is going to continue to be a focus. We have a goal to get thousands of new units of affordable housing underway this year. We hope to see more groundbreakings, more openings of new housing units, and we're going to open the permanent shelter for families on the community care campus following the opening of the temporary shelter just a few months ago. We are going to work to make it easier to build housing of all kinds in all neighborhoods across our entire city. That is a critically important goal for families in our city. We need more for-sale housing, more rental housing, more apartments, more duplexes. We need more of every type of housing in every neighborhood in Louisville, not just in other people's neighborhoods, and we will continue to make great progress on that in 2025. 3, we're going to continue the great economic momentum that we have, creating more jobs in every neighborhood, in downtown Louisville and every other neighborhood in Louisville. We're going to give people even more reasons to live downtown, to work downtown, to visit downtown. We're going to open more hotels, more restaurants, create more bourbon experiences, have people from around the world visit Louisville and be amazed by the wonderful experience here, to tell their friends and family and businesses and keep coming back. And not just downtown. We're going to also continue the momentum that we have, that we showed in 2024 by creating new jobs in the South End, in the West End, in the East End, in every part of our city. There is exciting progress and momentum, and I'm excited about some announcements that we'll be having in the near future that shows this momentum that's going to keep continuing into 2025. And also when it comes to economic development, last year we launched the new Louisville Economic Development Alliance. The search for the CEO is underway, and I hope early this year to have an announcement on who that individual is. The search is well underway. Our 4th priority, we are going to continue making Louisville a healthier city. And in 2025, we're going to focus on doing that by opening and reopening some world-class public swimming pools, park amenities, and libraries all across our city. Like the opening, the long overdue opening of the new Algonquin pool, the new Camp Taylor pool, the new Walnut Street Park. We're going to reopen the Portland and the Parkland libraries, and we're going to break ground on a new library in Fern Creek, and that is just the beginning as we continue to build on these amazing park and library assets that we have to serve the entire community. And for number 5, there's Thrive by 5. This year, Thrive by 5 Louisville is going to continue to build on the great momentum it has working to make world-class early childhood education a reality for all 3- and 4-year-old kids across the entire city. We're going to hire an executive director, and Thrive by 5 is going to keep moving forward towards that goal so that every family, every child has the opportunity for free early childhood education to help the kids get a great start on life and help parents and guardians get back into the workforce to continue to be a part of our community in that way. And obviously, those are just our 5 top priorities, but we are working on much more than that. My 5,000 colleagues all across Louisville Metro government are working hard every day on whether it's snow, whether it's creating jobs, or whether it's working to build more housing. We are working every day towards these ambitious goals. We're also going to keep focusing on improving the infrastructure across our city. It's times like this, during historic snowfalls, where you know that the quality of our infrastructure in every corner of our city is so important. And we're also going to continue working on making Louisville Metro government the most efficient and effective city government that it can be to provide the needed and wanted services to every resident in every corner of our community. So those are some of our biggest goals, and I'm excited about the progress we're going to continue to make building on the momentum in the months and years ahead. And as I mentioned, the number one priority that I mentioned was continuing to improve public safety. It's the number one job for me. It's the number one job for our colleagues. It's especially the number one job for the men and women of LMPD. Because every resident in every corner of our city deserves to be safe and feel safe. Protecting public safety is our number one priority. And that means a commitment to doing things the right way. It means keeping the citizens of our city safe while ensuring transparency, accountability, and protecting people's rights. And we're working in a variety of ways to make that happen. And part of that work requires innovation and new thinking and doing things in new ways and being open-minded to what is actually happening. And that's the kind of approach that we took when we opened the Summit Wellness Center, which has become a national model for officer wellness and support. And embracing innovation is part of a new initiative that Chief Humphrey is leading at LMPD. And so I'm incredibly proud to announce right here in the early part of 2025 that the United States Department of Justice, yes, the United States Department of Justice, has awarded a grant of over $400,000 to a new study involving LMPD. This grant is going to fund a groundbreaking research project with the Louisville Metro Police Department, working in partnership with a team from The Ohio State University. Now, as a University of Michigan alum, this is a little difficult for me to announce, but I am proud to announce that we're working with colleagues from The Ohio State University because of their experience in this field, because of their commitment to working with LMPD, working to improve our police department through this research project, Jess. So to tell us a little bit more about this project and talk about some additional public safety initiatives that we're working on, Chief Humphrey is going to join me up here, and I'd also like to introduce Robin Engel. Robin is a senior research scientist at the John Glenn College of Public Affairs at the Ohio State University. Let's welcome Ms. Engel to Louisville and tell us a little bit more about this groundbreaking research project involving LMPD. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Mayor, have you heard about our little football team we have up there in Columbus?
I remember we won this year.
Oh, this is not the year to tease him, that's right. Although there is a national championship coming up.
That is right.
Anyway, thank you so much, all of you, for having me today. I really appreciate this. And thank you especially to Chief Humphrey, who will be speaking here in just a few moments, and Deputy Chief McKinley, who's around in the room somewhere. The innovation of the chiefs and all of the men and women in the Louisville Metro Police Department is really the reason that I'm here today to talk about this new exciting research. So normally when we talk about research, we get some yawns. Oh yeah, how important could this be? But the truth is, in public safety, sadly, we know oftentimes very little about what works. And while we want to make sure that our agencies are effective and efficient and equitable, we often don't give them the tools to do and be exactly that. And so what we have now, this is really, I think, pretty innovative in that an agency that is facing federal reform efforts, right, mandated consent decree work, is having a research team embedded in their agency to help assist along the way. So to be very clear, I'm not here representing a monitoring team. We will not be monitoring the Louisville Metro Police Department, but rather working with them in partnership. Let me tell you just a little bit about my team. We have nationally known experts and researchers, Dr. Jennifer Chakauskas, Dr. John Eck, and Dr. Nicholas Corsaro will all be joining me. They are affiliated with The Ohio State University and the University of Cincinnati. But we also have former law enforcement chief Hassan Aden and a vice president from Mark 43, Ganesha Martin, who will be joining us as well in part of that embedded work. But why this work is also so important. One of the co-principal investigators on this project is Dr. Jennifer Hall. Now, many of you might not recognize that name. You might know her better as Sergeant Jenny Hall of the Louisville Metro Police Department, because one of the experts and the researchers that's known nationally is right here working actively as a sergeant in your agency and is actually seated in the back row here today, and we're so pleased that she is going to be joining us along with her colleagues. You have already in Louisville Metro an organization that is embracing evidence-based approaches and data-driven decision-making. And our team is here to help and to move you folks to the next level. It's action research. We're talking about a rapid research response. What does that mean? Well, oftentimes with researchers, we wait until everything happens, we come in at the end, and then we say whether or not something worked. Well, that's great to build that evidence, but the truth is we need help along the way. And so having a research team that's embedded in the agency will be able to provide feedback in real time to the LMPD and to the executive so that they can continue to make those innovative decision-making about which policies and procedures, training, accountability mechanisms to keep our officers safe and our citizens safe. Because, Mayor, as you mentioned, your priorities for this new year, public safety underlies all of those priorities. Without public safety, none of the other opportunities for this community will be able to grow in the ways that you would like. So that's why I'm so excited about this particular research initiative. We have a shared desire, both the researchers and the leadership from LMPD, to do something that has not been done before in this country. And that is, as you move forward with these reforms, let's test them in real time. Let's open ourselves up to become a learning laboratory and learn not just what works, but also what doesn't work, and then correct course immediately so that we can find those practices that are the most effective, the most efficient, and the most equitable. The other thing that we'll be doing is reaching out to learn more about from the citizens' perspective. Using our technology partners, we'll be surveying citizens to see what your experiences are, residents of Louisville Metro, and also our officers. Our men and women in Louisville Metro, they risk their lives every day to enhance ours. Let's understand what their challenges are and be able to meet those challenges with science and innovation and research. So I'm so excited to be a part of this team. I think we're really just those priorities that you laid out with public safety as the foundation. I'm so encouraged about what's happening at Louisville Metro. And I'm not the only one, by the way. So I sit outside of your community, and I sit at the table for national conversations, and everyone is looking at what's happening in Louisville right now. All eyes are on you because they sense and feel a change, and they know that they have great leadership here in this agency to make those changes and to stand up as a national model for policing across this country. I could talk about this all day, but instead we'll bring up the chief. I believe he has some comments as well. But thank you so much, and I'm happy to take any questions later.
Thank you, Robin. And I'll just say, kind of as a follow-up, one of the things that we did when we restructured our training academy a couple of years ago is we created an academic unit, and as part of that academic unit is a research and implementation unit led by Dr. Jenny Hall and Dr. Darius Horde, who is also an officer with us for many years. And the work they do is critically important to making sure that we know what works and what doesn't work. And just as an example, one of the recent studies they just finished was on our non-fatal shooting unit. And they found that the effectiveness of that unit has increased clearance rates of non-fatal shootings almost over 600% in the past couple of years, which is absolutely amazing. And so we want to be able to have evidence that shows that we are going in the right direction or that we need to change paths. And so this type of research, that type of unit, is critically important to the things we do. So we're grateful to Ohio State University, I can't believe I said it, for participating with us, and we look forward to what will come out of this research.
We're also, Chief Humphrey's going to provide a little bit more information about some activities that have occurred over the past couple of weeks with the holidays and everything. And then following Chief Humphrey's remarks, he and I will both be willing to take any questions from members of the media on these topics or any others, as we usually do at our weekly press briefing. So I'm going to turn it back over to Chief Humphrey.
So I just want to give you an update on some of the incidents that have happened recently and since the change of the new year. I'll start off by saying we've had 2 homicides so far this year, one in the 2nd Division on Cypress Street, which that incident ended in an officer-involved shooting where the suspect was injured and taken into custody and charged appropriately with that homicide. The other was in the 7th Division on Red Cedar Way, and that suspect was taken into custody by the state police at a rest stop in Kentucky. So we've had 2 homicides this year, and we've cleared both of them. So very proud of that. As far as today, one of the things I want to show you is I want to exemplify some of the dangers of this job. As you all know, we've had 2 officer-involved shootings in 2 days already in this new year. I think everyone understands and appreciates the danger that comes along with this job, and many of your news outlets were there to cover those stories. But I want to highlight a couple of incidents that you may not have heard about in which we had officers that were shot at. The first was an incident. Both of these were trouble runs, generic runs that officers make every day, day in and day out. And the first occurred in the 1300 block of Olive Street. When officers arrived on scene, you'll see that the door was shut. Officers shined their flashlight at the door from a distance, and they were met with gunfire from there. Eventually, officers were able to talk this suspect out, take the suspect into custody without anyone being injured. We're very thankful that neither the suspect or the officers were injured, primarily due to the professionalism of the officers. And that suspect, Alexis Holmes, was found to be a convicted felon, and that handgun that was used in that crime was stolen out of Jeffersonville, Indiana. So in that, we were able to safely take a violent convicted felon off the street. And then in the second clip that we'll show was just on December 28th in the 1100 block of Rutlinger, when again officers from the 4th Division made a trouble run. And when they arrived at an Airbnb, the suspect was inside of a bathroom barricaded with a firearm. And when officers tried to make contact with him, he shot at them through the window. And so you'll see how dynamic and how quickly these situations change. But again, we're very fortunate that no one was injured, and officers were able to take this suspect, Tomby Thomas, into custody shortly after having a dialogue with him and talking him into surrendering peacefully. And both of these cases are still under ongoing investigations. They were charged by the Public Integrity Unit, and I'll play those at this time, and then we'll answer a few questions about them.
They might be talking about that.
Is that a busted window right there? Busted window right there? On the door? On the door? Watch the out the back over here. Out the back over here.
Yeah.
trying to get our subject to open a window there to the restroom.
10-4.
Subject's name in the house. Tombe. Tombe.
10-4. Tomby is hiding. Tomby has it.
Shots fired.
So again, you can see these are both very dangerous, high-stress situations that could have ended in people being very seriously injured. And I want to point out the professionalism and the pride that I have in those officers in those situations. And the fact that they continue to do this day after day should show to the community our dedication to keep you safe. I also want to point out that we still continue to pray for Deputy Andre from Orange County Sheriff's Department in Indiana, who was shot and critically injured and is still in the hospital fighting with his recovery. That suspect, as you know, ended in a shootout with police on Wheeler Avenue, which resulted in that suspect's death. Again, a very dangerous situation, but I want to focus on the family of Deputy Andre and his recovery. So please continue to keep him and his family and his agency in your prayers. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. We will continue to work every day at this to continue to improve public safety, to reduce violent crime, to achieve the other priorities of our administration, and keep working to make Louisville a safer, stronger, and healthier city. Thank you all very much, and with that, the Chief and I are happy to take any questions you all might have. I'll repeat the question just so everybody can hear. The question was about how common is it for the United States Department of Justice to fund a study such as this that we're having here undertaken in Louisville with LMPD?
The National Institute of Justice is the scientific arm of the Department of Justice, and they put out requests for proposals every year. I do not know of any other study like this that has been funded. I believe that we are the first to be an embedded research team in a police department that is undergoing federal oversight and consent decree work.
Can you give us a hypothetical scenario of how your expertise will play out as in the role that you're providing? You were talking about your goals, but all of that sounds very academic at this point. What is it going to look like? I mean, can you give us an idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm going to be here every 2 weeks. I'm going to be meeting with the staff and working to better understand what their priorities are. And as they are making changes, which, by the way, Louisville Metro Police Department has been making significant changes in training, policies, procedures for a couple of years now. So it's not as though the consent decree starts and then suddenly the reform starts, right? There's been a lot of changes along the way. And what we'll be doing is understanding what changes they're making, the implementation process, and then giving feedback along the way as they're implementing what's working, what's not. So let me give you a very clear example. De-escalation training. We didn't know whether or not de-escalation training for use of force worked. In 2018, I actually worked with the Louisville Metro Police Department from 2018 to 2020 on a study examining the impact of changes in that training. So as officers were being trained, we compared them to the officers that had not yet been trained, and we compared those officers along the way to prior to the training, after the training, et cetera. And what we found right here in Louisville was a 26% reduction in uses of force, a 28% reduction in citizen injury, and a 36% reduction in officer injury as a result of this training. Why that was so important, that study was then used across the country and around the world to demonstrate that de-escalation training could have an impact that was really important for communities. Prior to that, we didn't know if the training worked. There are a lot of things that are going to be changing in this community, and we won't necessarily know whether or not it works. We want to be able to embed this research team so that we can give feedback along the way. So if there are unintended consequences and/or things that are not working, the agency can pivot quickly, make those changes, and then restart.
Any idea how long your tenure with the department's going to last?
Well, the grant is for 2 years, but I've been working in and around this agency for quite a number of years now. So I'm hoping that this will actually springboard into lots of different opportunities for funding, philanthropic funds, and those kinds of things to be able to support the work that's happening in Louisville Metro. Another quick example I'll give you is the Summit, the Wellness Center, is an amazing facility. What works best for peer support? What works best for training for officers embedded in officer safety wellness? Those are the types of things we want to be able to give that information back to this agency and this community in real time.
Sure. That's what we're starting on now. So many of the routes on our snow route, we for right now at least, and unless there's additional snowfall, are as good as we can get them given the freezing temperatures. And so we have capacity to do additional work, which is what we're doing now. Again, we're not stopping as the city has in the past. We're continuing to move forward. So what we're prioritizing, we are getting out into more neighborhoods. We're prioritizing some additional JCPS stops and routes that they have provided to us to work on. We're prioritizing some assistance to the University of Louisville, to TARC and TARC 3. Those are some of the areas that we're really focused on getting out beyond the additional snow routes. And we'll continue to monitor every day as we have capacity. We'll continue to expand the efforts as best we can. You also have to remember that our teams have been working literally in 12-hour shifts since since Sunday. So this is day 4 of 4 straight days, 12 hours in snow trucks that they're driving to plows. They are hanging with us for now, but we have to be cognizant of that as well.
Do you have any estimate with you helping out JCPS with additional routes, how many that's adding to your current routes?
No, I don't have that information at this time. And again, JCPS makes the decision about whether schools are open or closed, and of course, what's going on their properties as well. So they'll have to speak to the impact that it's making. But we are expanding our snow routes, and that work is happening right now as we speak.
Chief, can you talk about the case in, with the officers return fire against the suspect in Indiana, from Indiana, and then, so that's 3 times that people have shot at police officers. Is that kind of an anomaly, or is it something that we just don't hear about a lot?
So that's actually 4, because you also, that occurred on Cypress Street at the homicide scene as well, where the suspect returned to the scene and shot at officers. So, you know, the thing is that you all hear about when we shoot back, or you hear about when we return fire, but there are incidents that happen that never make news stories, that are very dangerous every day. And so I think it's important that we point out the heroism of these officers that go out here and do this on a day-to-day basis. And it's not just about getting shot at, right? You know, our job is to go and help people in their worst times. And sometimes that means we have to encounter the worst people in our society. And so that's what officers are doing on a day-to-day basis, is going out there knowing that there is a possibility that someone is going to try to harm them intentionally. But I would rather our officers encounter that person before that person encounters the public. And so that's our job, is to make sure that we take those dangerous people off the street.
I have a question for the chief and the mayor. Are you guys planning to enforce any and all deportation directives from the incoming Trump administration?
So to repeat the question was about, is our administration planning to enforce any deportation directives from the incoming Trump administration? Right now, there is nothing to respond to. There's a lot of speculation out there. There are a lot of different theories as to what might happen, but there's been no communication from the incoming administration to Louisville Metro government. There's been no formal communication or informal communication about what's going to happen. We are unaware of what the plan is, so there's nothing to respond to at this time. For the time being, we're going to continue operating the way that we have, We are certainly evaluating all of the potential legal ramifications about things that are being spoken about out there as possibilities, but at this point in time, there's nothing to respond to.
The city, it's my understanding the city has the power to issue fines for sidewalks that aren't cleared. What is the actual policy?
So the question was about the city has the authority to issue fines for property owners that do not clear their sidewalks. Again, as I've been saying for days, if you own property in Louisville, Jefferson County, you are required to clear your sidewalk. So if you're a homeowner, if you're a business owner, it is your responsibility to clear the sidewalk, and we request that you please do that. Help out your neighbors to help make it safer. If you're a renter and your sidewalks are not clear, please reach out to the property owner and let them know it is their responsibility to clear the sidewalks. There is an ordinance that requires property owners to do that. It is a civil violation that could be enforced. Right now, given our focus on clearing the streets and using as many resources as we can to clear the streets, at this point, we are not enforcing it. We reserve the right to change our mind on that and to begin enforcing that as we continue to move forward. The freezing temperatures continue to be with us, so we need property owners all across the county to help us out with that, and we request, be a good neighbor, be a good property owner, please clear off your sidewalk. The question was about why Louisville was picked for this Department of Justice grant.
Well, the truth is, I came to the chief and to the deputy chief and asked them if they would be a part of this. And so they were handpicked by me, and then by the National Institute of Justice, once we explained to them what a great idea this was. And already we are getting lots of inquiries from around the country. What are you going to find? What are you studying? What's it going to look like? And how we can use the information we're learning here as part of that learning laboratory to build tools and resources to put out across the country.